It's Sunday night at 8 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, and with me as always, I got Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. Shawn, how are you?
Doing pretty good, thanks, Gary.
Excellent. And I've got Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how's it going?
It's going great.
Hey, that's 3 more words than I normally get. Awesome. Awesome. We had a busy week, man, and we've all been traveling around getting our stuff done. I had a great time in Bandland last night. It was it was rocking. 19,000 people at the game. My God, and as always, we got to spell box a few times. We got to count for a whole lot. I got it all down pat now. Everything that I needed to do. Oh, speaking of Pat, man, we got something for him too. Let's just find that out.
Oh,
there you go, Pat. Relax. That'll be on with us a little bit later in the show, and so will Caden. And Caden is also going to need one of those, I think. But I'm giddy, man. The Rock won in overtime, man. I'm just giddy. But before we get rolling, just a reminder to everybody that all of our episodes are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And you can hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons. Always share. Please enjoy all of our affiliates, the Pat Bernard Show, the Attacking Third, Steel Steps, soccer and football post-game shows, pre-game shows, CFL shows, a whole lot more coming as well as a lot of non-sports things on the Stream Punk Network. If you missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the shows on YouTube at either Stream Punk Sports or at All Lacrosse all the time, in which you will be able to get our retro games, interviews, our entire library of shows, press conferences, all kinds of things. And there's more press conferences up after yesterday as well. All the bandit stuff is up there as we speak. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting streampunkentertainment.com with the great articles from our huge staff of contributors. We got a special guest coming on in a few minutes, but just a reminder that until he comes on, that 60, more than just a number. 60 is Canada's newest and most exciting sports uniform and teamwear brand, delivering top quality uniforms and teamwear that reflects the spirit and identity of each team. Their commitment to innovation and excellence sets them apart, ensuring that every customer experiences the perfect blend of style and functionality. Unleash your greatness with 60. Also add Lax Talk 10 to your order for a 10% discount on your order. You can see them either at sweet_60 on Instagram. You can DM Jim there, or you can send him an email at info.sweet60@gmail.com. They now have a website at sweet_60.com. Jim's going to be on with us in a few minutes as well to talk about all the great stuff that the company has to offer to you, the customer, and about branding and everything else. So should be an exciting time. So we look forward to having him on in a couple of minutes. In the meanwhile, guys, we had a couple of things that came up. But number one, the WLA had a trade. They had their draft the other day, and all of that is up on our pages. But the big one that came to mind was Victoria and Coquitlam. Coquitlam receives the 2025 the first round pick, 7th overall for that draft. And in return, Victoria bolsters up some more by getting the rights to West Berg for the 2025 and 2026 season. In addition, Victoria and Coquitlam will swap first round picks in 2027's WLA draft should Coquitlam's pick be higher. Interesting, considering that Berg is playing in PLL. I'm assuming that Victoria is playing another Man Cup run since it's in the West this year.
Most likely.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of teams stack up too, because we know now that Christian Del Bianco is going back to Coquitlam.
Yeah. That's
all the West teams are kind of bolstering up, trying to make a run.
It's also, I don't think anybody wants to get in that situation of do we take 2 players from another team and do we keep it or whatever.
Yeah.
Just bolster your own team, and I don't think we're going to have too much to worry about. I'm loving that Edmonton Rush shirt you got on, Shawn.
Oh, thank you. A little bit of a kickback to the Edmonton days.
And while we're retroing it, Mike's got his old Calgary Roughnecks jersey on the door too. So, my whole room is retro. Everything's retro. But it was a tremendous week. Holden Katoni, 500 NLL points from the game against Rochester. A couple of highlights from the Buffalo game. Number one, Nick Weiss had his 100th assist, and what a gorgeous goal that was that was scored on that assist. And the big one, Matt Vince, over 16,000 minutes played. Getting younger.
Yeah, just getting better,
telling
right?
Shawn off air. Hey, Brian, thank you for being with us. I was telling Shawn off air that before the game, Vince was there in the pregame warm-ups, just dancing around, not a care in the world. So loosey-goosey, that whole team. So loosey-goosey. I guess when you're 5-0, soon to be 6-0, you get that way.
Yeah.
But hey, we got a special guest with us, guys, and I want to bring him on now. He is the owner and founder of Sweet_60. Let's bring Jim Cooper to the stage. Jim, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Gary? Hey, guys.
I'm great.
Hi.
Great.
How are you?
Welcome to the show. Let's talk a little bit about you first off, and of course your affiliation with sports and a great CFL career to go with it. Let's talk a little bit about you.
A little bit about me. Wow. Well, it kind of ties into 60. Unfortunately, my early experiences with lacrosse were just as a spectator growing up here in Peterborough, Ontario. And as you can see by the age that I am, I grew up watching the James Gang, and unfortunately, that was my delve into lacrosse as I moved into the Toronto area where there was no lacrosse available. So football picked up for me, and that's where I was given the number 60, and so that ties into what I'm doing now. But I grew up playing football in Markham at Markham District High, and then was recruited and ended up going to the University of British Columbia for my university days. Very fortunate enough there to have won a Vanier Cup national championship, as well as being voted first team All-Canadian in my last year there, and then drafted 33rd overall in the CFL entry draft in 1998 to the then Edmonton Eskimos and now Edmonton Elks. To which then, as a Canadian journeyman, very much like the lacrosse world, you end up bouncing around for a couple of different teams. So I have passports with Edmonton, Saskatchewan, Toronto, and the BC Lions.
Nice. Very nice. So how did we come to opening up 60, the clothing apparel?
Well, it's funny. I was talking to someone the other day about the journey that has transpired for me. I've been involved in selling into sports teams and organizations since 2010, when I started selling championship rings with Jostens, which then allowed me to connect my passion for sports with a career. And over the years, I've been involved with the championship jewelry side of things. But then as you kind of morph into different areas, I was with a company called Baron Championship Rings out of Windsor, Ontario. They had me kind of help build an e-com platform that allowed them to attach some apparel items to a ring sale, and that kind of catapulted me into the world of sports apparel. And as the world turns, you just add to your toolbox, and lo and behold, that got me into the world of uniforms and teamwear and so on, to which now I have 60 under my own belt. specializing in custom teamwear, team uniforms, all of that kind of stuff.
Right. Now let's talk about a little bit about the uniforms themselves. What sets you apart from everything else that's gone on?
Well, when I was sitting looking at building something for myself to really dive into, I was able to connect with a manufacturing center that was going to be a little bit more collaborative on the design side of things. So, what started out obviously with my connection with football was to actually build, hone, and craft a football jersey and pant set from start to finish, with the ability to pick my own templates, pick my own fabrics, and then work with an entity that has, in my opinion, the absolute best technology in the ability to produce color that there is on this planet.
Right. And what sets you apart from, say, some of the other companies that are out there more so?
I think, for me, it's a tie to the story. Number one is, as athletes, we're all tied to a number, whether it be the jersey number that we wear. Mine was 60 for 8 years, from the time I started playing high school football till the time my university days were done. So that was my tie to my number. It's the number that I connect to the drive, desire, dedication, and passion it takes to achieve your goals in sport. From there, I have been able to play at a very high level of sport. So I've had the opportunity to wear some of the best stuff on the market. So I know in and around what I'm looking for to create high quality, functional athletic wear, to which for football, I was able to put my own experiences in wearing stuff into the build of what I wanted out of a football line. In doing that, I have then built a network of people around me that have also played elite level sports in their own sports, so that I can then utilize their strengths and their input to create, a unique and performance line of hockey jerseys, basketball uniforms, baseball uniforms, so on and so forth. So I really utilize elite athlete input in the creation of those garments.
Right.
And that's what I feel helps set us above, along with the story of the connection to a number, because everybody can connect with their own jersey number and say, sure, yeah, I get that. I understand that. And hopefully, as we grow, people will kind of see the tie and want to be a part of that wave.
Right. Now you've been successful with football, soccer, and now you're trying to get into the lacrosse world. What are you looking to do in the lacrosse world for now?
Well, it's kind of funny, not funny, but I do have to thank you for a specific connection, which was to, our good friend Michelle Boyer, with the women's box lacrosse national global network.
Global network, yeah.
So what we're doing is we're still in the kind of negotiations and collaborative stage, but utilizing her input and a number of other individuals that she is closely tied with, we are in the process of creating an evolutionary new women's box lacrosse jersey, so that they have something for themselves that they know they had a part in creating, mm-hmm, that works as a fully functional garment that provides exactly what they're looking for in terms of aesthetic, function, performance, and also, throwing in some ventilation and whatnot where need be.
Right, because they've had a hell of a time. Mm-hmm. I know it because I've dealt with her with about equipment And of course, without duct tape, we couldn't do any of this stuff because
Right.
nobody is making anything for the women's game yet. To me, all the money is still half the money is out there. You've got men and women, and if you're only going to this side, there's all this here, and it's growing at an exponential rate. That this is a great time to be in there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys create because I know it's going to be fantastic with her and her associates and your company getting together.
Well, and what we're what I'm truly excited about is having the ability to not only work with them on a kind of a look and a cut, but also be able to blend multiple fabrics into a performance uniform that truly works for their game.
Right.
Right. And the men kind of have it figured out, and they've been using a standard kind of option for a while in terms of what they're looking for. But as we all know, it's not just as Michelle calls it, shrink it to pink it situation.
Right.
To get something for them that can truly they can truly call their own.
Right. Now, the other markets that you're looking at in lacrosse, you're looking for, it says U6 all the way up to about junior, isn't it?
Yeah. So, everybody, all the pro teams kind of have their situation figured out. Where we can truly kind of fit into the marketplace is in that youth to junior range where, being a young Canadian company, we're not, we don't have the name that some of the others do, and therefore we're not charging the premium price, so we can fit in. And I understand, having worked with on the football side of things, a few youth organizations, I understand the plight of youth sports when every dollar needs to be stretched as far as it can. So, we're not, we're a premium product, but we don't have the premium overhead to go with it. And, right. For the folks that are following along with your show with our Lax Talk 10 discount, we can sharpen the pencil that much more.
Sure. That sounds great. But you also are more than just uniforms, you're apparel as well.
Yes, we also provide a full line of teamwear options, fully customized, anything from tees and shorts to tracksuits, coats, backpacks, pretty much anything you could want, we are able to manufacture. Right.
And they can get a hold of you obviously on Instagram at sweet_60. They can email you at info.sweet60@gmail.com. And your new website is?
The new website that's up and running is sweet60.ca/60.
All right. And you will get a hold of them instantly.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. Jim, I wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you very much.
This is a great thing. The other thing that we have been bringing up also is that if you're a Canadian company, why get hammered with that strong American dollar, and be with a Canadian company and go with you guys and use 100% of the dollar that's available. And as well, if you're an American company, why wouldn't you take advantage of that huge discount with the strong dollar and come with a Canadian company? So to me, that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. With the strong U.S. dollar in comparison to what we've got going on in Canada right now, the savings can be quite significant when in comparison to shopping at home in the U.S.
Absolutely. Let alone the international shipping charges, which are deadly.
They can be.
I appreciate you taking time on a Sunday evening to be with us.
Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure having a working partnership with you as well. Looking forward to having you on again down the road a little bit and telling all the great stories that are coming out.
Well, once we I think once we get a design down with Michelle, we'll have to have an unveiling.
That sounds great. I'd love to have her and you on, and we can discuss everything about what went into it and all the different things. Because again, there's so many different points and wear and tear and lots of things that regular people just going to watch a game have no idea about how to keep these things together and have them long term.
Absolutely.
Well, Jim, thank you again. Really appreciate you being on the show.
Well, thanks very much.
And we'll talk to you soon. That's Jim Cooper from Sweet_60. 60 is the newest brand of fashion. Give it a look. Give it a check. It is fantastic stuff. Known Jim for quite a while. He is a terrific guy, reputable, and I know that he's going to do great. That's great stuff, eh, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I know Michelle's been really excited about it, too. So I can't wait to see what they collaborate and come up with, which is spectacular. Alrighty. We had a full slate of games in the ALL, guys. And my goodness, we had some crazy stuff go on this weekend. Friday night, we had Brampton and Peterborough go on in a battle of second place. And Peterborough's had a great year so far. And Brampton had a little bit of a bump in the road, but they seem to have they've come back. And in this game, Brampton took Peterborough out 16-13, and really an evenly played game that saw it tied on 10 separate occasions. Down one goal with just over 6 minutes to go in the game, the Express put together a 4-goal run led by Gavin Tebow's hat trick to take a 15-12 lead. The teams traded one more goal each, but the Express came away with a 16-13 victory. The next night, or day, over in Oshawa, we had the number one Whitby Steelhawks going against the Six Nations Snipers, and they've had a pretty good season so far. They've come a long way in the last little while, but oh man, Whitby is a juggernaut of a team, and they put these poor guys to the woodshed. The score was 24-8. I believe it was already lopsided after the anthems. Whitby jumped out to an 8-0 lead in the first, and the Snipers just weren't able to overcome that. They didn't score for almost 20 minutes into the game, and although they got a couple of goals, it was 13-2 at the half. The second half was a little stronger for the Six Nations team, but 24-8 was your final. The later game in Oshawa saw the Oswego Bears and the Oshawa Outlaws. Both have had their trials this year, but Oswego, the first victory has eluded them. Well, it has eluded no more. Oswego came out on top to a shortened Oshawa bench, 15-11. Oswego jumped out to a leads of 4-0 and 6-1, never really looking back in this game. In fact, they never relinquished more than a 3-goal lead. And Craig Windy was superb in net for the Bears. So 15-11 for their first victory of the year. This afternoon in Six Nations, we had the Toronto Monarchs facing the Paris River Wolves. The Paris River Wolves have been really on a resurgence lately. They've won their last 4 games. Well, now they've won their last 5 games in a row. Although the Monarchs got off to a great start with a 4-0 lead and a 6-2 lead in the first quarter, the River Wolves got back on track, getting a game within a goal by the half. Up 12-10 in the fourth for Toronto. Paris put it in another gear, and they outscored the Monarchs 7-3 to come away with a 17-15 victory. So if we're looking at there's been a few little changes in the power rankings. Whitby, of course, is still number 1 by a long shot. Brampton have sat themselves into this number 2 spot, just ahead of Paris. The Peterborough Timbermans are sitting in 4th right now. Toronto Monarchs have 5th place right now. Six Nations sitting in 6th. Oswego has moved out of the basement. They are now sitting in 7th in the power rankings, and Oshawa for now is sitting in 8th. And we'll see what they have to say about things this coming week. The games upcoming for the East, you have Whitby against Brampton on Friday, which is going to be just an absolute killer of a game. So if you can get out to the Memorial Arena in Brampton Friday night at 8 o'clock, by all means do it. It will be worth your time. The Outlaws and the Timbermen face each other on Saturday afternoon in Oshawa, followed by the Snipers and the Monarchs also facing each other on Saturday afternoon. Sunday, we have the Paris River Wolves against the Oswego Bears. That's going to be an interesting one now that Oswego seems to have found the upside to their game. In the ALL West, we have a couple of games upcoming this week, and that is on Tuesday at the Langley Event Center, which is Grizzlies versus Sea Spray at 7:30 Pacific. And Wednesday, the Eagles face the Blackfish at 7:30 Pacific, also at the Langley Event Center. And that'll take care of our ALL. Now, we have a special guest.
They're both special.
Yeah.
From the Wing's Nest. And, well, you know, there's no fruit in this one, but you know what, Pat? I've got Chase, have one. I think you need it. And, we'll see how that comes about. Now, I have to admit, I was the only one of us who chose Rochester in the pick'ems, and it looks like with good thing. Well, it goes one step further, guys. Is I got an email from Jake Elliott today. Is that my picks also won the who you got thing this week? So for cool bets. So that's pretty cool. So of course I didn't take Albany, so I'll have to remind Caden it every time.
We lose Gary.
No,
Yeah, I think Gary's lost here.
Gary, you're frozen. You mentioned Jake Elliott and you froze. You're right there, buddy. You're frozen.
This punishment for getting the right.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
This is the best I've heard of all time. The whole show. No, listen, Mike, Shawn, this was rough, man. This was rough. This is something I saw out of the team last year. This was undisciplined. This team was undisciplined Saturday night. I don't know what happened. This is a Wings team I haven't seen in a long time. Sloppiness. And three things that stood out to my mind in this game from the Rochester side. Their head coach, Connor Fields, Ryan Hartley. The three guys that know how to punish this Wings team. Doesn't matter how much they change. Those three guys are a pain to the side of this Philadelphia Wings team, and it's going to be. Connor Fields, they left him wide open at times. There was times that Connor Fields was just doing what he does best. This is why he's the third best player in the league with the most points, is because of stuff he can do. He can find his teammates wide open, and all the he can shoot whenever he pleases. And if the Philadelphia Wings I don't know if they cut up into a shell, they were afraid of him, but he did whatever he wanted. And I gotta give kudos to the coaching of the Rochester Nighthawks, because what they were doing on offense is where they were drawing the Wings defense to come at them, and every time they came out of the box, they were going inside and making their plays there and making their goals, paying dividends low inside. So again, Rochester has, they kept the Philadelphia Wings offensively and defensively all balanced, and I gotta give kudos to that. I gotta get, even on defense, they run with three formations, 3-2, 2-3, and then they did man-to-man defense, and they shut down the Philadelphia Wings. And this is the first time I've seen this offense, other than Joe Russell-Terrence on Saturday night, look shell-shocked.
Right. There's a few things that Rochester had that they haven't had the last couple of weeks, and I'm pretty sure that would have given them W's in a couple of those last-second losses. Number one, Mike Sisselberger on faceoffs. You just can't replace a guy who really knows what he's doing at the faceoff dot.
With a wrestling background.
That never hurts either, right?
No, not when you're faster and you're stronger than your opponent at the faceoff circle. And another thing I'm really disappointed with this Philadelphia Wings team: 7 trips to the penalty box, 7 trips.
Right.
I mean, and the loose balls. I mean, I couldn't count how many times there was loose balls opportunities that fell right into the Rochester's way. I mean, they wanted this game more, and the Philadelphia Wings just sat there with their fingers up their nose and did nothing. It was disgusting.
Right.
No bananas tonight.
I mean, I'll just say,
raspberries we forgot. But what the other thing is, of course, you mentioned Ryland Hartley. It's his first game of the year back from injury, and of course the number 1 there. And as Hartley goes, is how this Nighthawks team goes. Last year they took a big dive when he had that huge injury, and this year Hutchcraft has done a good job in replacing him, but he's not that number 1 for that team. And of course Hartley, as soon as he came in, made an immediate impact, an immediate difference. But a couple of players stand, of course, that haven't been doing a whole lot this year compared to what they should be. Ryan Lanchbury comes to mind. Yeah, the same thing in Georgia, where he just kind of underachieved from everything and all the hoopla. And here he's been doing his part, but he hasn't been going over and above. Well, this game, he had 2 goals, 7 assists.
Yep.
And really was a playmaker and really dissecting that Philadelphia defense, which, if there is an Achilles heel still in Philadelphia, is the Philadelphia defense is not always at 100% on the same page. Alex Pace is one of those guys who just he's there, he's not. He's there, he's not. And teams know it, expose it.
And Gary, you're absolutely right. I mean, I watch this Rochester Nighthawks team just cook them down low. I mean, there was times where they just could not keep up and getting beat off the man-to-man coverages. There was just times they just couldn't keep up with the Rochester Nighthawks. Again, that goes to the mouth of that offense. That goes to Connor Fields. For him to find guys like Ryan Smith wide open, guys, they were making plays. And to Brian's call, I don't know, Brian, this is the first time I've seen, it's funny because me and one of the other beat reporters were talking about, as Ian Rubel should be a candidate for player of the, coach of the year. And this is the first time I've seen him just being completely outcoached. He was just outcoached in every aspect of the game, where he just didn't have an answer for what Rochester and Mike Hassan, I believe, what those guys dialed up against this Wings team.
Well, Hazen is a Hall of Fame player, and he will be a Hall of Fame coach as well, with over 100 wins in the league. So, and he's taking a lot of heat in Rochester because, of these, silly things, yet I don't see him taking any shifts. So he's not the one missing the assignments. But another one that he had put in the lineup who did terrific was Graydon Hogg. And not a household name as of yet, but he had a couple of goals. More importantly, he was there with a couple of loose balls that really mattered and a few turnovers. So he was doing a whole lot of digging in there and really taking advantage of everything that was given to him.
Yeah, so what, Gary, now the big question is, because what Rochester was able to do offensively and defensively, and this could be, hey, look, was just one game, but however, is the tape out on the Wings? Is this how you're going to have to dial up and beat these guys, play a little physicality defense like Rochester was able to do? Where you on offense, what do you have to do? Just draw the Philadelphia Wings to come to you, and now they leave downstairs wide open. I mean, there was, like I said, somewhere in the third quarter, Connor Fields, he walked right down Broad Street wide open and shoots a laser. I mean, you can't be doing that to a superstar of that caliber. You cannot be leaving him wide open. And when in doubt, like you said, he made plays to Ryan Smith. He made plays to Lunchberry. I mean, there were so many plays he made. It was just really tough to defend. And like I said, now I wonder if the tape's out on the Philadelphia Wings of how to beat these guys, because other than Joe Russell-Terrence, who showed up? Who showed up? And to Brian's question, I don't know. I don't know why there was no timeout before the half. I would have been you were getting the Rochester Nighthawks kept this Wings team at arm's length from even competing in this game.
Right. See, now I look back even a few weeks now, and their last couple of games. Of course, they had to bye last week, but the 2 games a week before, and Buffalo, if they didn't take their foot off the gas, probably would have won a lot bigger than 19-14.
Yes.
And Buffalo's still talking about that as one of their lessons that they need to address for themselves. They're undefeated and they're talking about things that they need to address. And then, of course, the Vancouver game, which almost slid away from them, and both big physical games, which seemed to be giving Philadelphia trouble because this was a big physical game as well. And it seemed to throw them off of their game just enough that they couldn't get on track.
Yeah, well, Gary, I'll go a little step further. This goes back to me, and I know the Saskatchewan Rush is a totally different animal, but even when they were facing against the Rush, I mean, one thing I know is came fourth quarter, they took the foot of the gas pedal, and I think they only won by like a 1-2 point margin. So there's things that the Philadelphia Wings defense needs to get better at, needs to start locking down on, and one of the major things that they got to work on is the trips to the penalty box is only to come back to backfire this team, which in this case it did.
Right. And Brennan O'Neill looked average in his game. When we're not doing field lacrosse, and we're not giving him space, and he's got to be in confined spots, he's still got to learn how that works on feeling as opposed to blueprinting your plays.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, like I said, other than Joe Russell-Terrence, who put up 5 goals, I mean, Mitch Jones just facilitated most through the night, but I mean, and credit to the Rochester's defense, they kept Mitch Jones on lockdown and got physical with him at times where it made it tough for him to do what he wanted to do. And they kind of telegraphed it what the Philadelphia Wings offense was trying to do. Like I said, other than Joe Russell-Terrence, who got into a sweet spot, if you want to use hockey terms, he gets off to the face-off circles and he was shooting lasers. Other than that, I mean, everybody looked average. Phil Caputo only, he contributed 2 goals. You had, like you said, Brandon O'Neill kind of just looked average in there. Couldn't really make a play. You could see through his eyes that he was trying to read the Rochester's defense, and they gave it to that kid. And this is, like you said, the first time he looked average.
Right. Now, upcoming, Philadelphia has Halifax in their next game. And Halifax is starting to look like they've figured it out as well. And they're a pretty big team. So this is another one that is a question mark all of a sudden with a defense like this. This team can score. No doubt about it.
Yeah. I'm looking a little farther ahead. It's actually a home and home the next 2 weeks. And then after that, it's a home and home with Albany the following 2 weeks.
So it's when you look at this team on paper, I mean, when you look at their schedule on paper, you're like, all right, well, it's kind of going to be a day at the beach. It's going to be a coast ride, and paper and reality are just 2 different things. And Rochester just proved it. Rochester still wants to fight for their playoff lives, and they just showed you it's like, you know what, we could go into Philadelphia. We've thumped this team before. I know they've changed things up, but this is still a good Cordial. We have a great offensive captain. We just got our goaltender back. Let's go in Philly and rock these guys. And now, like I said, now it leaves Philadelphia with a lot of question marks heading into next week. And like Mike just said, you got a home and home against Halifax, a team that's known to get physical. I don't know what the Wings are going to have to dial up here.
Yeah, that's a good point. We talked about it last week that Rochester, they were going to start playing desperate because, they're just getting to their first bye now next week. Mm-hmm. They've played 10 weeks straight, and they really couldn't afford to be sitting at 3-7 after 10 games. Really wasn't going to bode well for their playoff chances. In all honesty, with a couple of breaks or a few seconds even, when you talk about the Halifax double there, they could have been 5-5. So, or even
all this bodes well for the Rock, because as everybody's fighting for their lives and splitting home and homes over top. So
Yeah, they could.
for teams on the bottom to catch up. Albany's not out of it either by any stretch. I kept hearing.
Yeah.
And I don't. Oh, he froze. I don't. Like I said, I don't know if I should be setting my hair on fire. I mean, however, this was the Philadelphia Wings' first home loss. So, I mean, I got to give credit to this point. Look, they're 5-3. Now they're third in the league, sitting behind Rush, and they're sitting behind Buffalo. But listen, there's still plenty of time. In hindsight, I didn't think this team would be sitting where they're sitting at now. They got a lot of things they got to work on, and it's got to start this Saturday. It's got to start at 1 o'clock at home. Get things right, get things back to get back to playing Wings lacrosse, and that is coming up with multiple scoring options. You can't just rely on one guy to bail you out in every single game, whether they rely on Joe Russ Terrence one night, Mitch Jones, Brandon O'Neill, Holden Gattoni. And by the way, congratulations to Holden Gattoni getting his 500th career goal, especially to knock on his old team. But I mean, if there's any kind of bright spot, and Blaze Reardon, who got his 100th career game played.
Nice. Well, I got you here, Pat. Of course, we have these beauties ahead of us, and here they are.
Nice. I'm in the basement.
Little mix.
It's a strange week because I went 0-2 on Friday, and I went 5-0 last night, and that was enough to get me my Cool Bits prize pack. Thank you very much. But over here, this is a cluster and a half. You look at even Pat's coming. He's making his way back up towards us at 26 and 30. But Shawn, myself, and Mike have been trading spots all year.
Yeah,
and it's just every week.
Close up at the top.
It's just clogged up there, and Caden is starting to make his way up there as well. And it's an interesting group. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to take a sec. I've got the whole rest of their schedule. So they have the home and home with Halifax. They have a home and home with Albany after that. Then it really doesn't get easier. Not that it does for any team, but host Colorado, at Toronto, hosting Ottawa. Then they have a home and home with Georgia, which is going to be.
That could be.
Yeah, that's not going to be.
Apologies to old school Wings fans. Georgia's your rival. Georgia's your absolute rival right now.
Always has been.
More so than Rochester. I mean, just look at their last 10 games, and 7 or 8 of them are 1-goal affairs, and then they finish with a rematch with Vancouver.
Right.
So that's pretty brutal. But I really think if they can, we've already talked about. We think the cutoff for playoffs is 9-9, possibly 8-10, considering what happened last year with 5 teams fighting for that last spot at the same record. You get splits in these next 2 home and home matchups. You only need 2 wins in your last 2, 3, 6 games to get yourself.
Listen,
not that you want to be an 8th, because then you got Buffalo.
No, you don't want to answer to Buffalo, not at all. I mean, I think the Philadelphia Wings just realized, like Garrett said, 2 weeks ago you found out where you were on the measuring stick, and really they just outmatched you, they outbullied you. They came Martin Luther King Day, you beat Vancouver by your nose hair, and then and again this week. You get thumped at home a little bit. Rochester just had you at arm's length. And apparently now, I don't know when was the last time that the Wings beat Rochester, but since I've been covering it, no, Connor Fields just owns real estate in the front marking on the Wings, as he should.
Well, Pat, before I lose you to this week, I do want to remind everybody that we are on after you next Sunday. We are at of course, Super Bowl Sunday, we are on at 11 o'clock in the morning. And
so I don't need to leave my
well,
yes.
There you are.
Yep. Listen, I love it. I love the hat, brother. I mean, listen, that's what I trying to get the fans and people understand, because after the season is over, if the Birds win, I'm trying to you look in directions what team to follow here is after that, and I try to take them and say, let's go follow Wings. Well, if they put on the performance like they did Saturday, it's a little hard to do that. I mean, Gary, me, I'm a foodsman at first, and it's hard for me to turn down chicken pizza this past weekend because I was so frustrated with this team. I didn't want to leave the box. I wanted to stay there, and I was soaking my frustrations. I sat there with my eyes going like this and trying to understand what in the world is going on. And again, I cannot allude anymore about this.
I gave you the breakfast place, Pat. I gave you the breakfast place in South Philly where they are game day. So yeah, you can get over there.
Guess what?
Early in the morning, have yourself a nice set of waffles there, and wait for the boys to get in and go.
And listen, they now know this face because I do. They've been checking on all my Instagram work and all their, they've been checking in on it. So I appreciate those guys looking at my stuff. But listen, they might they know me from my mouth, and it's going to be hard for me to say what in the world's going on here, boys. I might have to call Uncle Paul to come back on the show and find out what in the world's going on over here.
Just be easy on him, okay?
That's my guy. He knows. He knows that's my guy, though. I love him. I love Uncle Paul. I mean, he's a straight shooter, though. I'll tell you what, he's and listen, I tell everyone all the time, he's done a heck of a job, though, revamping this team because they got rid of this guy called Higgins. He's gone.
You mean the guy who's got like an 8-point
top goal in the league,
81.1% save percentage, and under 10 goals against? Yeah.
That guy. Yeah,
that guy. That's that's brutal too. We talked last week about how Ottawa should be 5-1, and Higgins has had 4 games now where he's allowed less than 10 goals, and somehow he's 2-2 in those games. So he's not the problem in Ottawa either.
Yeah.
No.
It's frightening. But yeah, Paulie's a good friend of mine, and we've been friends for a lot of years, and I love what he's done. And of course, I love running into him in Peterborough as well. For the Lakers stuff. So
yeah, he's a great guy. He knows his stuff. And listen, for all the Wings, look, it's all's not lost. It's just one loss. I know I'm a little overheated about it. I know I blew a gasket maybe once or twice during the game. It's okay. I'm coming back down to reality. It's yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna need one of those. Steve Wise.
I had to order a case because I know that he needs a whole bunch of those too. So I had to order a case.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah.
But
you split these next 2 home and homes, you're in good shape. You go 3-1, you're in real good shape, I think.
And listen, they're 5-3. They got a winning record. Since this is the first time since I've covered this team, they've had a winning record. This is what all Wings fans sign up on paper what this team was expected of. They, if you would have told me that this team was going to be 5-3 by the halfway point, I would have looked at you nuts. But here we are. And roughly, like I said, like Mike, you just said, if they can handle business against Halifax. But the problem I'm worried about, like Gary said, teams are starting to turn it around. Rochester still want to. This is desperation time. This is teams want to fight for a playoff spot. So every team's checked in and cashed in. So it's going to be hard to put away the Halifaxes of the world. It's going to be harder to face Albies in the world. The Firewolves. It's going to be hard to put those teams away when the playoffs are now. They're facing the reality of it. So it's not going to be a day at the beach. It's not going to be an easy coast ride. So Wings just got to gear up, here on out.
Absolutely. Well, we will chat before the Super Bowl next Sunday. We'll talk about it as well, I'm sure.
Yes.
But Pat's article will be up at some point tomorrow, and we will get into the nitty-gritty of everything that he saw, all the nuances, and all the by the numbers.
Yes.
So, Pat, appreciate everything you do for us. And I know around the league, you were appreciated as well. I keep hearing your name when I'm in all these different cities now. So great to hear.
Yeah, listen, guys. And I saw Adam Levi on your show. He's a great guy. Absolutely a great guy. And by the way, for everyone, please give all Lacrosse all the time a follow. This is the best lacrosse show out there. So, guys, I just shared it on Twitter. Guys, just keep following this program. It's the best, and I can't wait to come back here Sunday. Hopefully, next Sunday morning in a better mood. So we'll see what happens next Sunday. But guys,
Next
stay
Sunday is kind
tuned.
of like Christmas to you, Pat. So it's going to be a better mood. You know it.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm probably won't be stop running my mouth from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. I mean, it's going to be on fire. So
Let's hope that it's going to be a long celebration and have all kinds of fun next Sunday for everything in that weekend.
Yep. So guys, go Wings, and guys, I'll check you guys out next week.
All righty. That was Pat Bernard with the Wings Nest. Great to have Pat with us, as always. Yeah, man. It's true, man. That passion. Everybody knows it. Everybody feels it when Pat's around. You can't fake that. That's the beauty of it. All right, let's continue along. I want to go to some of Friday's games, guys, while we're talking about it. We're going to talk first about the Halifax Vancouver game. Tarasenko gets his first career hat trick in dramatic victory at the Nest. I got to admit, I didn't see this one coming. I had Vancouver. I really thought that they were going to get themselves back on track from the week previous, and they never really seemed to get themselves 100% into that mix. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, they had a they had a halftime lead, but Halifax kind of poured it on at the end of the second quarter, into the third quarter, 6-goal run, kind of over the big intermission, and like you said, Tarasenko, he just had a monster night. 3 goals, 2 assists. Just key transition goals that kind of killed Vancouver. On the flip side, Vancouver's transition struggled. You got a combined 0 points out of Owen Grant, Braden Lady, and Reed Bowering, which is
That's unheard of. Yeah,
not typical or characteristic of this Warriors team, especially now under Kurt Malosky. The rest of the offense, nice offense by committee for Vancouver, which is kind of what we've been wanting to see out of them, and not just, as much as we've kind of praised them for, hey, if one guy doesn't step up, other guys do. It's nice to see kind of a balance in their scoring, just despite the loss. You had Ryan Martell, Kevin Crowley, and Marcus Claridge, each with 2 goals and an assist. Adam Charlambides had a goal and 5 assists. Keegan Ball, a goal and 3 assists. Aiden Walsh, 43 saves on the night. Helping out Tarasenko on the Thunderbirds side, you had Clark Peterson, 2 goals and an assist. Dawson Theed had a pair of goals. Cody Jamieson, a goal and an assist. Shout out to Cowboy Dave.
Dave, man, good to have him back.
Thanks for tuning in. Randy Stotts had 3 assists. Warren Hill, 29 saves, and
this is what I was about to bring
4
up.
or 5 in the final 30 seconds that, were just
unbelievable saves, because they just peppered him in those last couple of seconds, and one after the other, after another, and they come away with the victory.
Stood tall, and that's got
helmet, shoulder, arm,
huge confidence
and
booster.
that's why you stick with Hill, right? We were talking earlier in season. Maybe just switch it out. You knew he was going to field eventually, right?
He needed the break, and I brought it up again, because when we talk about the Albany game, Jameson's looking tired too, and he got pulled. These guys need a break. Both of them have played 2 solid years of lacrosse without a break. With 2 full Man Cups, 2 full NLL seasons, throw the Worlds in there, and it has been about 750 days since these guys have had a break. That's a lot of lacrosse, man, for anybody. Let alone a goalie carrying around all that extra equipment and just baking in the nets, let alone being peppered continually. So,
the other thing I want to add, what almost the other thing that you could say killed Vancouver was not just Halifax's transition, but that 6-goal run, the second and third goals at the end of the first half, both shorthanded.
Mm-hmm.
One right after the
Yep.
other, 11 seconds apart.
Yep.
And that kind of, really gave Halifax kind of all the momentum. So,
Well, yeah, Vancouver didn't even look like they showed up for the first 5 minutes of the second half. They weren't anywhere to be found as Halifax ran all over them and took the 1-goal lead and made it into a 4-goal lead, just boom, before you really got comfortable in your seat.
Yeah.
And then Vancouver started to try and pick back at it and still almost was able to do it, because their defense came back to life in the fourth, finally, because it had been missing for 2/3 of the game at that point. But it just shows you, man, when Vancouver actually gets their act together, because I'd say they played maybe 33 minutes of this game, and they still almost came away with a victory. That's how good this team is when they put their heads to it. So I wouldn't sleep on them at all.
No.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, obviously those odds or probabilities go way up when you do get production out of those young transition guys, Bowering and Lady, and especially Owen Grant. So,
Yeah, so you add like 2 or 3 transition goals. This is a completely different ball game, right?
yeah. Yep.
Right. All right, let's transition to the second game on Friday night, and that, of course, was Calgary facing Ottawa. And again, Ottawa went missing in my eyes. Tyler Pace scores 4, Jesse King 3 in the road win. Teat held scoreless for the second straight game. We talked about, is the book out? I really am hard pressed to think that there's a book on Jeff Teat because he can do so many things so well. But this stifle him and stifle him and just be on top of him is a no-brainer that I haven't figured out why other teams haven't done this before. But the big thing is O'Connor not being there is huge, because I used to have an outlet. When you double or triple team Teat, automatically it'd be over to O'Connor, and you could do things, and then it would free him up to go cutting around as a cutter and do his magic. And you don't have that right now. And Kieran on the other side is great, but it's just not the same.
Right.
But
right. I definitely won't disagree with you on that. just what Riley O'Connor brings, just in terms of off-ball ability, just the lacrosse IQ is just off the charts, and the intangibles that he brings to this Black Bears team. I think they're doing their best. Certainly the trade for Eric Fennell, I think, has helped them out. Despite the recent performances, but they need to start figuring it out fast. Because now they're
not having Matisse.
Now they're 4-4, and there's some of those 4 losses are games that were easily winnable.
Mm-hmm. But again, like I say, you didn't have Matisse in the line. You didn't have Nathan Grennan in the lineup either. These are big pieces. And I mean, I guess you could say that's the other issue that's kind of popped up with the injury to O'Connor is that you've got, now Dan Ladouceur and company are forced to kind of tinker with that offense and try different lineups. They like I said, they went out and traded for Eric Fennell. They signed Brady Kieran, and they're trying to plug in and mix and match here and find something that's going to work in the interim. Right.
Until O'Connor returns, and not for nothing, but they also, Callum Jones is still also on out.
Yep.
And
True, yeah.
And Justin Robinson hasn't seen the floor at all yet.
Right.
I don't.
You can't take anything with Jacob Dunbar's having a career year. Like, he's still being able to put up points, but he's lonely up there, man. Larson Sundown only had a goal and an assist, and he's getting hampered as well. Say the film is out on the team. The first couple of weeks they took the league by storm, but now defenses are starting to see past just the Jeff Teat thing. And when you have a big piece, big pieces like Matisse, like Riley O'Connor, and a few others that aren't in the lineup, it's easier to key in on the mainstream of quarterbacking that offense.
Yep.
And it seems
Yeah.
as soon as you're able to rush the passer, so to speak, things kind of go a little sideways. Then things get haywire, and the team hasn't been together long enough that like a team in Buffalo or even in Toronto, that they've been together so long that if things go sideways, they're able to know where each other is without having to try and find them on the floor. This team still has to try and locate one another. Hence a lot of errant passes into the corners and other things that are happening, and loss of possessions and turnovers that we don't really look and have stats for, but you see it continuously of change of possession and good opportunities to just kind of go, nothing. And they add up, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. So just to get to a few numbers here, for Ottawa, Dunbar had a hat trick and an assist. Taggart Clark had a pair of goals. Sundown and Reed Kurtz each with a goal and an assist. Connor Kiernan with a goal and 2 assists. And Pat's buddy, Zach Higgins, 33 saves in the loss. He did allow 10 goals this time, but again, 4 of the 8 games, he's allowed less than 10 goals, and he's 2-2 in those games. That 6-5 loss to San Diego, the 8-4 loss to Vancouver, where just the offense couldn't produce enough, despite his performance.
Right.
For Calgary, Tyler Pace, big game, 4 goals, 2 assists. Jesse King, 3 goals, 3 assists. Curtis Dixon, 2 goals, 3 assists. Tanner Cook had a goal and 2 assists. A pair of assists each for Jack Follows and Eli Salama, and Cam McLeod, 36 saves, and he's kind of starting to find a groove. Yeah. I mean, they're 4-3 and they're in 5th place right now. So
well, they bounced back after a pretty big drubbing they took against the Rock last week, where they were beaten in all aspects of the game, every single one.
Yeah, and Coach Josh Anderson said it was easily their flattest performance of the season.
And he wouldn't be far off on that one.
Yeah, so that's totally true. Yeah.
So, and they that should make this upcoming weekend interesting, because Calgary does go to Vancouver for a rematch. So, and Vancouver won the first one on Calgary's floor. So, so that's going to be a big game for both teams.
Yeah.
Vancouver trying to reestablish momentum, Calgary trying to keep this momentum going. And remember, Vancouver's the only other team besides Buffalo now that's undefeated at home. So that's going to be a tall order for Calgary.
I agree on.
Yeah.
All right. Let's bring ourselves to a different style of game. And Shawn, I want to bring you in on this one, of course. And we have, of course, Saskatchewan and San Diego. And once again, we have the San Diego Seals underperforming. And, of course, we have Saskatchewan that's just looking great. And Triolo leads away with 4 goals as Rush improved to 6-2, hammering the Seals 12-8. And they really, from the word go, they just took it to them and allowed the Seals a little bit in afterwards. But that was way too little, way too late.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mike Triolo opened the game with a natural hat trick, and I mean, that guy's game has come so far. And I even recall one loose ball where he's really learning to use his size, because any other player probably wouldn't have gotten that loose ball and he had the fresh 30, but because he has such a reach and such height, he was just able to pick it up and just use that reach, and it's just amazing to watch. And yeah, it was 7-0 at half for Saskatchewan.
This is mind-boggling to me. Where
Page out of Whitby's playbook.
Go.
And again, Thomas Kaisick got the start for the Rush, because congratulations to Frank Giuliano and his wife on their new baby. So he's kind of out for a bit to be a dad. And he was spectacular in the first. Needless to say.
Better than a shutout.
Yeah. And I mean, there were some decent chances and he shut the door. The other thing about San Diego, well, they say 10 power plays is really 9 because the last penalty was 11 seconds left in the game. They gave Saskatchewan really 9 power plays, 26 minutes and penalty minutes. You pretty much had a half a game right there just sitting in the box.
That doesn't help your case when you can't score, when you're a man short for half a game.
Yeah. I mean, this game got rough. There were 5-minute penalties in that second half too, which kind of was wild for hits to the head. So they're really cracking down on that. But yeah, I mean,
but you can see the frustration level in San Diego.
Yeah.
It's not 1 or 2 or 3 games. This has been a while now that they just can't find N. They can't get it back to here. They're just floundering around. I even heard rumors saying, we should be trading Wes Berg. What? That's the only guy who's doing anything.
And I was actually going to say, Wes Berg's line, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points in 6 shots.
Amazing, isn't it?
That is concerning.
That's very concerning. Have the coaches lost the room? Has Merrill lost the room?
I hope not.
I don't think he's got much
talent on that team.
There's a lot of talent, but
all these veterans to be, the veteran leadership here. When they were going to go youth, and all of a sudden they went veteran, and boom, here we are. We thought that this was going to be maybe mid-season they're going to get tired. Well, they can't get tired if they're not doing anything.
Well, let me ask this. If you think he's lost the team, do you think it's because of what happened in the offseason with losing Doby and trading Dixon?
I don't think it helped. But if the reasoning was they wanted to get younger, I would understand that. But if you replace them with guys as old as them, then I'd be sitting here going, "What did you do?"
Yeah, because I mean, you're talking. You basically replace them with Hellier and Benesh and McIntosh.
Right. Yeah, and that was actually part of the thing is you got a left side of McIntosh and Berg. Then you go over to the other side. Then you're looking at Hellier and Benesh. So I feel like once their offense is a little bit lopsided a little bit. I don't think that one side really scares you as much as the other.
I think the biggest mistake they made was getting rid of Dunbar. Myself, he looked great last year as the first year in there, and coming in halfway through it.
100%.
Take a look what he's done in Ottawa. That's huge, missing that out of your lineup. And of course, Stotts being in his own problems, that didn't help either. So Dixon, Doby, Stotts. Well, together, that's what, about 140 goals that isn't there.
Yeah.
Which you replaced with, 65 assists on Hellier's part, maybe, 25 goals. McIntosh hasn't done a whole lot. Benesh had a great start and then kind of evened out a little bit. But these guys have all been in the league for many, many, many years. So, a guy like Doby is gonna have those games, like he had against Albany. But for 4 games after that, did he do anything? No, not much.
No, and especially in that first half. I mean, 7 goals. I look at the defense a little bit too. I mean, Herrera and once Mike Poulin went in there too, they look shell shocked. It's
yeah, and this is at home. So you got the home crowd and you got everything going on and you got everything comfortable for you. And this is happening. And it's wow.
Yeah, I mean, they're still without Trevor Baptiste. So it's
huge. We talked about that on Thursday with Adam Levi and Levy. And we of course, there's a ton of possessions that they don't have because he's not in the lineup. But there's a lot of other things that are moving around there that just don't make sense. That's the thing.
Well, I mean, Rush wrote their face-off guy too, but they still went 14 for 25. I mean, Messenger's not a pushover. He's definitely not one of the top guys in the league either. But
when you have to go out and you put Poulin back in, it's just to try and wake up the team because it worked in week 1. That's right away you get the warning bells go off.
Yeah. I mean, again, some of the stats for Saskatchewan, Zach Mans, 2 goals, 6 assists. Same with Robert Church, 2 goals, 6 assists. Ryan Keenan, again, feeling it. Goal and 5 assists. Like I said, Mike Triolo, 4 goals. He's just having a career year right now. 2 goals and assists for Levi Anderson. So he looked really good coming back onto the field. As for the Seals, a pair of goals from Rob Hellier, a couple goals from Zach Courier, 2 goals from Ben McIntosh. But again, all these goals are coming in the second half. You got 3 assists from Trent DeChico, a goal and a pair of assists from Trey Leclerc. I mean, it's slim pickings when it comes to offense.
Something has to happen because San Diego's dropping further and further in the standings next week. If they lose to Toronto, Toronto is passing them in the standings.
Yeah. And I'm looking on the other side, too. That's a huge win for Saskatchewan now, right? Because with the Philly loss, that puts them alone in second place.
Yeah, 6-2 is no slouch.
No. I mean, you can make arguments on who they played at the beginning of the year, but the fact of the matter is you still have to beat the team in front of you.
Yeah, and the only game where they looked off a little bit is against Toronto.
Yeah,
they just happened to catch the full Toronto slate.
And after that loss is the overtime loss against Philadelphia. And again, remember that was the game without Shanks and without Church.
Right. So, yeah, they're on the upswing, and of course, I don't concern with Saskatchewan because I love the top all the way down and everything in between because I have total faith in Derek Keenan and Quinlan in what they're doing and how they're doing it, and piecing it together sanely and to do with chemistry.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't look like this guy could put probably more in, the chemistry with him is better, and that's where they're going, and that's what won them championships midway through the tens, shall we say.
And then they're starting to look like that again, aren't they? Like, which is scary for the rest of the league.
Yeah, and they have that swagger to them now.
Yeah,
I was going to say on that note with who they have or haven't played, just looking ahead, at Calgary, hosting Rochester, at Vancouver, hosting Buffalo, at Georgia are their next 5.
So it's gonna be a tough stretch.
Then they're at Halifax after that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you read my mind of what the next game is. So we're gonna move ourselves on over into Banditland, and Byrne 5 goals, 5 assists. Smith 3 goals, 7 assists. Dominated Bandits. Breeze to 6-0. Breeze is a good term for it because man, oh man, this team is just something else. And everywhere there's production everywhere. Watching them in the pregame, and just watching them doing stretching and going through all the motions, and they're just loosey goosey. Everybody is happy. Everybody is content. Everybody is doing their thing, doing their part, doing their work. And then here comes Matt Vince past me onto the floor, just dancing away, not a care in the world, just doing his thing, and getting in and then coming back off, and just it's just they're all walking on clouds right now. Now, are they doing the work? Oh yeah, but man, when you have a team that can just send wave after wave after wave after wave on you, and it doesn't matter who's on the floor because Nanticoke will kill you, Kluche will kill you, Fraser with just some absolutely, ESPN, please get the Sports Center out for some of these goals. Unbelievable. And then, of course, you have the Dane and Byrne show, which is just incredible. And, I have a couple of things from the thank you, sir. Thank you very much. When I have the a few things from the press conferences, we are talking about the passing abilities and the thought process and the chemistry with Dane and with Josh. It's just unbelievable. But to get into the game a little bit here, first off, you had almost just shy of a sellout. I think it was 18,500 for the game. That's insane. There's so much energy in that building, even as the national anthems are going on, that you can't help it. You get swept up in it, and up in the press booth, press box, you can feel it up there, and everything that's going on, and just the whole thing. Now, anybody who thinks that Connor Farrell isn't a big part of this team, you just have to look at what a fan favorite he is there. The milkman, everything on the scoreboard is, got to ferrule this and ferrule that. It's wild to watch. And he even took a penalty shot at the end just to try and get him a goal. And he would have been a folk hero if he would have scored there. But yeah, just to watch him, and he went 14 to 31 on the dot. But you're going against Nardella. You're holding your own against one of the best in the world. So just amazing. But off the bat, Ethan Walker got the first goal for Albany, and they had quite a bit of jump. They looked a lot better than they had in the last little while. But Buffalo doesn't score one goal. Buffalo scores in bunches, and that's what happened here. Kluche and McKay got a couple of goals. Carson Moyer got it back, and we were tied 2-2. And then, boom, Matt Spanger got a goal that was just beautiful. And this is Nick Weiss's 100th assist. And, he picked a nice bounce shot into the short side and then a nice little jump into the glass for the fans. That's the most, I've seen Matt. And Matt's a very, calm guy. But that's, even the energy's getting with him. And he was all over the floor last night. I laughed with him after the game. Is that, he has an all across all the time T-shirt. So I said I should give you a pullover, maybe I give you a V-neck sweater and a sweatshirt. And, you could probably be leading the league in scoring. Yeah, he had a game and a half. Man, he was all over the floor, throwing his body around and doing all the little things. We're talking about the little things. Well, guys were stay-at-home defense, but doing all the little things and getting transition goals. Chase Fraser with one of a number of goals that he had that were just beautiful. He's like Nanico. They just don't score boring goals. Then comes the the Smith and Byrne show. Smith got one, followed by Josh Byrne not a minute later. And all of a sudden, a 2-2 game is a 6-2 game. And this is lopsided already. Alex Simmons gets one back before the end of the first quarter. And, he had a great game. I can't say that about a lot of Firewolves yesterday, but he had a great game. 3 goals on the night. We go back to the second quarter, and on the power play, Dane Smith, followed by Josh Byrne. Imagine that. Ever heard that before? In my mind. And all of a sudden, it's 8-3, and his game's getting out of hand. Ty Kurtz gets one back, but Josh Byrne, and then Tehoka Nanticoke with just a gorgeous goal from out front. Like another one that just can't score a boring goal. And after that goal, of course, in came the hook. Yeah. Actually, no, I believe, it was in the first quarter when Doug Jamieson got pulled and Andrew Kidd came in. We thought it was just for the end of the quarter, but it turned out Jamieson was now open and closing the gates the rest of the way. Kidd looked good. For someone coming into something hot like this in Bandit Land, he looked good. And he got the Bandits to change their shooting. They did, of course, it's the Bandits. They were found a way to readjust, but my. So at the half, it was 10-4 for Buffalo. And then, of course, they had all the parachute drops and things like that. But
there we go.
Don't know what that means, eh? Okay, well, I'll probably get the police out for him, but if you can get over the border, we got a spot for him here.
Just want to help plan the parade. That's all.
They can carry some of the U.S. booze back to the U.S. with you. But we try to stay apolitical in here because, I don't know anything about politics. Mind you, look at the guys who do. We head into the third quarter, and we talk about Chase Fraser, and he had this gorgeous behind the back goal that opened this thing up at 3-minute mark. And you figure that it's 11-4 now. I know the Bandits, and they're coming out of halftime usually with a 5-goal run, and if you can survive that, you're usually doing pretty well. But the Bandits got themselves into penalty trouble, and this is if there is a thing in their game that needs a little bit of work, it's that they take a lot of penalties, man. They take a lot of penalties. Usually they're far ahead enough that it doesn't matter, but they take a lot of penalties. And the next 2 goals, which were just merely 42 seconds apart, Ethan Walker and Alex Simmons, both on the power play. Then, of course, Travis Longboat and Ty Kurtz score, and it's a 4-goal run. And all of a sudden, this is becoming an interesting game because 11-4 is now 11-8. And things are going a little bit, the party is dying down a little bit. What do good teams do? They find ways to win. They find ways to win. Well, Buffalo came storming out after a minute break at the quarter, and Nanakoke followed by Dane Smith, and it's 13-8, and we're back into party zone. Ethan Walker gets another goal on the power play, his third of the night, but then the Josh Byrne show happens. It's Byrne from Fraser, followed by McKay from Nanakoke, followed by Byrne on shorthanded with unassisted, and it's 16-9 with just a couple minutes left. John Piatelli got a goal with just over a minute left, but way too little, way too late. And this game, as they say, is history. Now, I'm telling you guys, this Bandit team is better than the other two that won. And I was asked why, and here's my reasoning. Number one, everybody there knows how to win. That's not a question. This is a meaner team than was before. If you want to get in the crease, you were going to pay a heavy price in there. Their defense is big, tough, strong, and mean. The offense is healthy. You know, with the exception of Kluche being in and out of the lineup a couple of times, and Zach Belter being out, but he's back now as well. Talked to him before the game. He's great. And, everybody else is just rolling along. Here's where it becomes interesting, though. The Bandits have a bye week next week, and then they have 12 games in 10 weeks to end the year. And they're all sitting there going, this is ridiculous. We've had all of our bye weeks up till now. We can't get any momentum because, bye week, game. And now we have no more bye weeks the rest of the year. So the biggest thing there is, can they stay healthy? How good is the practice roster that they can slide guys in and out to give guys a break? Because, you take a look at, they're off this week, and then the following week they play Toronto on Valentine's Day Friday. Then they're back home to play San Diego on Saturday. At some point, San Diego's going to figure it out. And they always play Buffalo tough. So this is going to get very, very interesting very, very quickly. That's true. Bandits and their penalties. That's the truth, though, you know. The Bandits and their penalties. But, usually, like I said before, it's when it's already out of reach. Things got a little ugly at the end because they kept running the crease. Albany did. So Buffalo was starting to get a little hot in the collar. Paul Dawson got a little hot in the collar. And then we're talking with him after the game. It's like, I understand totally why. But, these guys are all, they're taking care of one another. So, you got to like the camaraderie. Albany went 4 for 9 on the power play. Nine power plays. Buffalo went 2 for 5 on the power play. Yeah, it could have been a whole lot worse. Really. Vince looked great. He faced 48 shots. Really made everything look, fairly easy. He just like pregame, just kind of danced his way through the game. Not a care in the world. It's great to be in Matt Vince's world right now, I think. He's just feeling it. And the team is feeling it. Let's hear from John Tavares on the a bit about last night's game.
Satisfying win, I guess. Pretty good game.
Well. Great first half. I thought Alvin did a good job in the third quarter. And they definitely tested our man down a lot in the second half.
It seems like when you guys are playing well, it's like everybody is contributing. The ball's moving. Nothing is perfect, of course, but you've just had some amazing stretches this season. Is that just chemistry and everything working together perfectly?
When everyone's scoring, it's hard to stop. When you attack by committee, you don't know where the shot's coming from. It's hard to focus in on one or two guys. And as great as Dane and Josh are offensively for us, they have a great supporting cast. And when those guys are contributing, our offense is hard to stop.
had Doug Jameson out after the first quarter. It seems like it's been, I don't have the stat in front of me, but it seems like y'all have got opposing goalies out pretty quickly, the first half or sooner. Is that a point of emphasis for y'all?
We don't go into the game thinking, we're going to chase the goalie out, but it's good when it happens because it means that we're shooting the ball well.
Right.
Doug is a premier goalie in this league, and when we have as many good shooters as us, we give them opportunity to score. Most of the time they're going to put the ball in the net.
Right. When you see, the defense protecting that fence, when he gets hit from the opposing players, Paul Dawson at the end of the game there kind of just laying on top of the guy who tried to hit Matt, kind of what does that say about, how quickly this, the chemistry of the team?
We wouldn't stick up for each other, right? And,
yeah.
People want to come into our crease. I thought in the first half they were getting into our crease area untouched. And I wanted to remind the guys that can't happen. And so, guys like Paulie are protecting our crease and our goalie like that. It says to the other team, we don't want you in this area. So it's important to protect the middle four. And that crease area is a big part of it.
Yeah. After the Philly game, Chase Frazier kind of talked about, when Philly was making that run that, the guys don't really need reminders to, that they need a reminder to get going. Kind of was that the case tonight when Albany was got back within 3 in the third
Well, we
quarter?
knew from last year, it was the same type of game last year, the championship against them. We had a great start, and they were very resilient in coming back. And I think they did it twice, and reminding the team about the Philly comeback as well. I thought we did a good job, with the exception of the beginning of the third quarter. They got 2 or 3 or 4 goals in a row, but then we answered back in the fourth. So it's tough to maintain a large lead, especially when you're short-handed for that much time.
Right. 7.
Makes a lot of sense what he's saying. Let's hear from Dane Smith.
Seems like they go really good. What's it like to be a part when the offense is just flowing so well, the ball's moving and winding up in the net? It's almost like playing tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing, and we go through strengths with our offense where we struggle, and it's tough when we're short-handed and stuff like that. We seem to we're so talented at times. Our biggest default is, okay, it's my turn to go to the net. It's my turn to go to the net. JT has done a great job of bringing us back in, and as a leader, I try to bring everybody back in to say it's a commitment to stick to the game plan and play our game, and I think we've been successful with doing so.
This team has had a knack this year of scoring 2 goals back to back. It's like a boxer. You guys just almost daze your opponent. Where does that come from, to the ability to have those quick strike back to back goals? It seems like it's happening almost game by game now.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps with the crowd being in it, and obviously Farrell winning draws and being successful. I feel like our ball team in general has gotten so much better over the years. But when the crowd's rocking as loud as they can, and you have a great defense and a great goaltender like Matt, the next one's so important, and we feed off that energy. So it's amazing that we've been successful.
You've been home since, I think, December 28th. How do you, try and replicate the success the team is having without the fan aspect behind you?
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those things where each game we want to continue to get better. We want to dictate out there. I feel like the big word is dictate, because so many teams are so talented in this league, and they try different things on us, and it's important for us to stick to our game plan and make them change things on us. And we put pressure on them, and I think we've done a great job at that. Our pound kill was amazing tonight, and it's just a team effort. When things aren't going your way, whether it's a bad call or whatever it may be, just keep your head down and work a little bit harder.
Absolutely. And then we got Josh Byrne. And interesting, he's going to be talking about his relationship with Dane.
You play a team like Albany, you have to game plan for like a goalie like Doug Jameson because he's so big and fills the net. Did you guys adjust at all when they put Kidd in? Did you adjust your shooting at all at that point?
So that's probably one of the hardest parts of the game, right? Is you put a backup in who I don't even know if the backup was, and Kidd played great. He played really well. You gotta learn as you're shooting what he's doing, what his tendencies are, and that's tough. Kidd isn't moving the stick. Or he's hammering 5-hole and he's not moving the stick, right? So it's definitely tough, and you go all week planning for Dougie, and shooting shots that you can try to shoot for Dougie, and then all of a sudden a new kid comes in that you've never seen before. And it's like, okay, well, try different things, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, now he's making saves, and it is what it is. It's definitely something you got to adjust to for sure.
How do you think Fair will do as the local folk hero now?
Hey, if he would have scored that penalty shot, I think he'd be doing well. But no, he's an awesome guy. I think you see how much we rally around him and his energy. So we're glad to have him on our team.
Bert, what has just been clicking for you these past few games? I mean, huge game against Philadelphia, and then game tonight. What has helped you at least get into this consistent rhythm offensively?
I mean, my teammates are doing a great job. Moving bodies, create space, drawing doubles, move the ball. It's making my job really easy. And I've said it before, right? Like different nights are going to be different guys' nights. And Mickey's had multiple 5-goal games. Dayner's putting up 12 points a game. And when you have, in my eyes, the best passer in the world on your team, you're going to get looks, right? And if they don't want to go to him, then he can still score 6 on you. So, I'm super grateful to be able to play with Dane. But the rest of our group are just buzzing around, super tough to guard one-on-one and moving the ball and playing it selfish. And it's hard to stop.
Ross, I know in basketball, not only do you get it to the right guy, but it's always in position where he's in shooting spot. Does it work that way in lacrosse, or is it a little different?
I think what Dane does really well is he anticipates, right? So I would compare him more to like a quarterback, where like he's seeing things develop, based on the way defenses are playing, before they kind of happen. So he's a lot of times just one step ahead and is seeing, hey, they're going to jump out and maybe try to take away and cut through the middle, and he sees me on the backside. He knows at the end of the day. I really do think that I honestly think that it comes down to him being extremely unselfish, and a lot of these passes that he's making, he can shoot the ball easily. He can shoot the ball, but he also understands that for our offense to go, he needs to make those plays, right? And, when the Hoga and Fraze and Bucky are banging hard for him, and cut through the middle and stuff like that, he can shoot it, but he's like, no, I'm gonna let these guys eat. And he also is super accurate with where he puts the ball. I think that's something that's very underrated about passers, and it's something that I didn't really focus on until the last couple of years, just from watching him. Like everything he does in practice when we're shooting, like he focuses on getting that ball right on your ear, or right where you're putting your stick, and not a lot of guys can do that.
Makes sense. So definitely a recipe for victory. And the Bandits now are 6-0 and grooving. And they have a bye week, and then they face Toronto in what has to be circled on everybody's calendar as the fight of the week. I mean, the game of the week. Because a healthy Rock squad against a healthy Bandit squad, and a healthy hate between it, not a healthy dislike, an absolute healthy hate between these teams. So this is going to be something to behold. So, and of course, in a smaller barn, and Bandit land travels very well as well, just down the street. So it should be an interesting mix in the crowd as well as on the floor. So looking forward to it. Should be an exciting time in a couple of weeks. Let's move forward. We something we don't say very often anymore. We have a victory from Georgia. My. Yeah, the Swarm beat the Desert Dogs 16-14. Even that, was not an easy task. Ecclestone breaks out with 4 goals, 4 assists to lead the Swarm to a win. Hannah shines 3 goals, 5 assists in the loss. Even this one can't be easy, eh, Mike?
No, definitely not. We've been on Las Vegas for a while now about their offense, and despite the loss, they finally broke that streak of games where they failed to score 13. So it was probably somewhere in the area of 36 or 37 straight games where they failed to reach 13 goals. So they finally do. Unfortunately, they just at no point could they kind of get a run to kind of get in control of the game. A big third quarter kind of helped them get back in the game, but they were already down 9-6 at the half, and just never could really after the start of the game kind of get back in control of it. Like you said, Jack Hanna leading the way for the Desert Dogs, 3 goals, 5 assists. You got 3 goals and 2 assists out of Jackson Webster and Casey Jackson. That's talk about impact player. Jackson Webster has just been on fire since he cracked the starting lineup. I think he's gonna be there to stay for the rest of the season. Kyle Killen, 2 goals, 4 assists. Jonathan Donville, 2 goals, 3 assists. Adam Patois had a goal and 2 assists, and Justin Getty had 33 saves on the night. You have to wonder whether there's going to continue to be this goalie controversy in Vegas or not, or if they're just going to kind of pick one and roll the dice with Getty or with Kells if Getty starts to kind of falter. It's definitely going to be interesting to watch down the stretch here. But yeah, a breakout game for Torrin Eccleston. 4 goals, 4 assists. You could call this a breakout game. Miles Thompson, 3 goals and 3 assists. He's obviously been sorely missed from the Georgia offense for a while now.
Yeah.
Shane Jackson had a pair of goals and 3 assists. Brian Cole and Andrew Q, each with 2 goals and 2 assists. Brendan Bonberry had 5 assists on the night. Lyle had a goal and 4 assists. Brett Dobson, 29 saves. So 14 goals allowed, but getting back on track. So they've gone through a rough stretch. Really not unlike Halifax, and maybe for both of those teams that's going to work in their favor to have these early struggles and find a way to kind of work out the bugs so that they can be, running at their peak heading into the playoffs rather than, running into mid-season slumps or late season slumps. So
it's big though, having the Thompsons back healthy is huge for Georgia. I'm still a little bit concerned about the goaltending in Georgia because now we're talking about big time scores. It's not giving up 8 and they lose it 8-6. 14 goals is a lot of goals when you only made 29 saves on a night. So
you're putting a lot of pressure on your offense when you're letting in 14.
Well, you're at a .667 save percentage. That's not
no.
That's not going to win you many games.
No, it's not. I mean, I guess you could say, you could say maybe it's fortunate that it came against Vegas, but but we're also saying no teams push over in this league. So
no,
like I said, you got to play who's in front of you, and they still have a difficult road, like every other team. They're going to have their second matchup with Colorado next week, which they took the first one, but at least they will be home. So, but they're I don't think they've hit the toughest part of their schedule yet either. So,
which is wild because again they don't play Buffalo till the end of the season, and we were talking about this team could go undefeated, and now we're worried about them making the playoffs. So wow, fortunes have turned.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
on the other streak, of course, we have the Toronto Rock. And, I saved the best for last. Yes, let's have a one. Dalwick. There's a name we're saying an awful lot this year. He scores 4 goals, including the overtime winner, as the Rock have their 3rd straight win. The Nets 3 goals in the loss. Well, 3rd straight win, defeating Colorado Mammoth by a score of 9-8. Dalwick, man, he was everywhere. He had some great picking corner shots. And when he wasn't doing it off Tom Schreiber passes, Schreiber himself was doing it, Toronto offense got on the scoreboard first with Josh Dalwick scoring on the power play. Colorado answered, but Chris Boucher with an underneath on his defender, scoring with a crease dive, make it 2-1 after 1. It's the second quarter that the Rock kind of fell apart and gave up 5 goals in that second. And, it wasn't until near the end of that quarter, though, that things got kind of weird because, Kelly got a goal, Connor Robinson got a goal, Eli McLaughlin got a goal. It's 4-2. Chris Boucher made it 4-3 halfway through that quarter. And then in the last couple of minutes, Connor Kelly and Ryan Lee got goals 1 second before the end of the half, and Lee got his goal. And it was 6-3. And don't you think they let me know it over in Buffalo? Yes, they did. But luckily, I got them to turn the game on, and I was able to catch the, can't get TSN out there, can't get NLL Plus out there. So I had to wait for someone to get their ESPN on their phone so I could watch the end of the 4th and the overtime. And by the way, I called it. I knew that Dalwick was going to get that goal beforehand. I guess give it to him. He's going to score. Sure enough. But getting into the 3rd quarter, Challen Rogers, 15 seconds in, unassisted, makes it 6-4. Connor Robinson gets it back, makes it 7-4, just about a minute and a half later. Then Dalwick and Craig get goals later into the quarter, and it's 7-6 going into the 4th quarter. Ryan Lee makes it 8-6, but goals by Josh Dalwick on the power play and Tom Schreiber, roughly, give or take, 7 seconds apart, and it was tied 8-8. Lots of opportunities in those last 8.5 minutes for any of those teams to come away with the victory. Both Dylan Ward and Nick Rose stood on their heads, but not literally, because that would be strange. But they, boy, oh boy, I think at one point Dylan Ward was actually on his head. But just incredible. The amount of saves that Ward made last night. He faced 57 shots on the night, which is a peppering. Rose, on the other hand, faced 39 shots, which is not quite as peppered, but a little spicy still. About 7 minutes into the overtime, Josh Dalwick comes in close and finds it over the shoulder of a backing up Dylan Ward, and slides it in for the goal. The loud house was a quiet as a mouse house, because I could hear Josh Dalwick screaming when he scored the goal. That's how quiet it got there. Yeah. Well, the party at 6-3 to losing 9-8 to the upstart Rock. And that's all she wrote. Really cool that Josh Dalwick has found his niche and really found his way. And, I was explaining it to somebody else. You look at the mentors that he has there, and has had. You got guys like Chris Boucher. You got Tom Schreiber in his ear continuously about what to do, where to move, where to shoot, how to do it. To me, those are pretty good teachers. He had Mark Matthews in there as well. As well as a whole host of others over the years that have come through the Rock organization, let alone some of your coaches like the Colin Doyles, like the Dan Dawsons of the eras that are still around the team. So pretty amazing. But he came into his own during the Worlds and playing for Austria, and I believe he led the World Tournament in goals with all that talent there. And he's just ramped it up another notch in this one. So Toronto has San Diego this coming Saturday. This is going to be a big game because you know that San Diego is going to find a scoring touch sooner or later. Hopefully later than sooner, but this isn't just a let's just open up a few loggers and sit back and party. Yeah, it's Indigenous night, so I'll have my Corbeil's or Indigenous shirt on. But it's just one of those things where everything is turned completely around for the Rock now that they're healthy, and they're in that conversation of one of only a couple of teams that scare the league. Saskatchewan is another one. Buffalo is another one that scare the league because they can do so much when they're on, and they keep proving it. And the biggest thing, and I had to explain this again, the first couple of games when you had 6 guys out who are all mainstays veterans, is that you have 6 kids in that you've drafted and don't really have NLL experience. If you have 2 of those kids in the lineup and 4 of the veterans in, that works. If you have all 6 of them in, we get to look like a junior A game, making junior A mistakes. And that's what we saw in game 1 and game 2 and why they looked so hapless. And as these guys were coming back, like I say, 2 of those losses should have been wins in my eyes. And the Buffalo game could have gone either way. So where does that leave them if you take those 3 and put it in? They're sitting up with Saskatchewan, tied for second. So actually, they have the tiebreak on Saskatchewan.
Tiebreaker, yep.
But that's just fantasy land because that didn't happen. But still, if there's a team that can go undefeated the rest of the way, Toronto's that one team. Mind you, they have the Bandits and they have some other tough ones along the way. But this is a tough team themselves. And without some of these players, they took the Bandits to the last minute. So let's see. Mind you, I've had this expectation before, and I've watched them cough up a fur ball and watched the Bandits win by 16. So I can't gauge it that way. But I guess we just watch them play the games and enjoy as fans. Isn't this great? Where you don't know who's going to win one week to the next, where you can't just look at a card and go, yep. Where anybody can win on any single week.
Yep.
Any given Sunday idea goes with every single game in the NLL.
That's why I go back to when they're saying, well, who is the Saskatchewan beat? They beat who was in front of them.
Well,
anybody can win, right? It doesn't matter. Anybody could win at any time.
Literally, that's all you have to do, and that's how you win championships. You beat who's in front of you.
You are who your record is, right?
Yeah, and you're not going to worry about 3 weeks from now because you're going to beat this team.
Yeah.
So to worry that you're going to face Vancouver in 4 weeks, who cares? Let's worry about the 3 teams you're playing in the middle. And say that's what the big thing was said last night over Cobblestones with the Bandits is about staying healthy week to week. Just about doing things right, stretching correctly, not getting involved in extracurricular stuff that's going to, hamper you, that you can avoidable things. And then, of course, They keep talking about penalties and, about getting better. That's interesting. A team that is that good talking about getting better. That's scary.
Yeah. No, Gary, it's funny because you talk about the injuries of the Toronto. And I always said, well, look, all the injuries were mostly on defense, but boy, were they missing Tom Schreiber. Were they ever? That was the big piece that was missing in that offense.
Tom Schreiber is one of them, and Challen Rogers, who can come out of both doors and is so unpredictable when he's doing things and creates so much havoc and is such a quarterback to everything. Latrell Harris almost works into that one as well because he's up with the offense so much that, it's like, yeah, they're defensive guys, but, the offense suffered because you had 3 pieces like that out at the same time. That's not even to mention that Corbeil was out at that same time as well. So was Brad Cree. All these pieces, let alone TD Erlin, so you weren't getting possessions because you weren't winning any faceoffs.
Well, even that leadership with Schreiber, because I remember the game against Calgary, seeing him like, okay, guys, let's go, or he's pointing, showing where guys need to be. Like, that leadership you just can't replace.
Right. Exactly. And the mentorship. Showing the younger guys how to do this. because that's what our Tuesday practices are all about. Is, yeah, you're going through the reps, but you're also going through the chalkboard. And it's the things that we don't see as opposed to the things you do see, which is make teams successful. Yeah. The Bandits, it's no fluke why the Bandits have been so good for so long, because tons of talent, yes. But we've seen talented teams that can't win. I'll give you Albany right now. Everybody lives in the city or near the city. Everybody does stuff together constantly. They're all on the same page, pretty much consistently. And you see it after the game. You see it before the game. These guys enjoy being around one another. And you can't fake that. And then when game time comes, the one thing that I, again, was explaining to people is that these guys don't need to look where each other are. They know where each other are at all times.
That chemistry's just there.
It's there. And, behind the back passes and the other things that are, crisp passes, it's because they know where each other are. And the other guy knows where he's going to be throwing it. And the passes are right at the ear or right where your stick is moving. So you get a lot of quick sticks happening. These things are all little things that, you may not notice all the time, but it happens 98% of the time, which is why Buffalo can put together run after run after run. And when things are moving and you have the electricity from there, they can just soar with it. Everything is part and parcel in a package together. Now, my question is, a couple of years down the road, when these guys, say they've three-peated and say, you guys are, ready to go on to the next stage of their life, of whether it's coaching or whether it's another industry or whatever, then what? Are they ready to be in rebuild mode? Do they have enough pieces in there to start replacing? Because when you have the top of the tops, it's very difficult. Take a look. Saskatchewan's taken how many years to rebuild?
Been a few years now, yeah.
Rochester or Halifax, depending which one you want to call it, they haven't. They made it close to the mountain and never really got a chance to climb it. Toronto, they've made it there a couple of times, but never really got over that hump. So it's a whole trick in there. So we'll see about the depth of the organization a year or two down the road when the Bandits start moving around a little bit. But that's also why you've seen guys like Dalton Solver go elsewhere. Guys like Connor Fields. Why would you let a Connor Fields go? Well, where are you going to put him? Where would you put him? Left press box. That's too much talent to throw in a press box. Let the guy have a career. And if you can get draft picks out of that deal, great. Now you're rebuilding. Especially if you get good draft picks out of that, which for Connor Fields you did. That's how it's done. Derek Keane is a master at that. Eddie Como has been a master at that for a lot of years. But, in Toronto, they do it because everybody lives in the city and they do it through free agency. Well, this time around, so far, they still have the first and second pick, in this draft. Well, maybe not the first one anymore because,
Well, that's the point I was going to make too. You mentioned Derek Keane. The thing I've seen with this lineup that he got right now is he also finds young guys who, again, like you mentioned, they have the talent but never got the playing time, like a Zach Mans and a Mike Triolo, that really just never were given an opportunity. Now they're getting an opportunity. We can see what they can do.
Yeah. I'm very happy the Rock found Brian Cameron because that's the Zach Mans replacement.
Yeah.
Because that was hurting. Because every time he played, well, however, Mans has matured into his role because he had a little bit to learn about doing different things, which is what put him in the press box, of not doing your job all the time. But, as for Mike Triolo, I love seeing him, spread his wings, so to speak, because I've seen him since Arena Lacrosse, and he just looked out of place there because he looked like there's just too much talent that needed to be looked at. As probably a dozen other guys I'd seen in there and who have made their way into the NLL. The ALL serves a huge purpose of not just giving you reps, but learning how to be and stay an NLLer. And through the coaching and through all the other things that go on there, the crowds aren't big, but I tell you, that's invaluable, what they learn and what they're able to do. A lot of those Whitby Steelhawks are going to wind up in the NLL at some point, already contracted 2 teams. But an interesting thing, again, I talked with Brian Cole about this and a few other NLL guys about trying to make the ALL into like the AHL, where each team has their own affiliate NLL team. And we have almost, or we might even have enough now. I think we're a couple short. But, through expansion in the ALL, we'll have enough teams that everybody will have their own affiliate. That way you can sign guys and not have to release them if they don't make your squad or practice squad. And you can get them seasoning and build up. And that way a guy isn't playing for your team one week. You don't need him anymore. He goes back to ALL and he's on Rochester the next week because they picked him up for somebody else getting hurt. And you actually can keep hold of these guys and groom them into your style, and with players coming up as well, so that they actually gain that chemistry before they hit the NLL, like the AHL and some of the teams that have come up together through junior, through AHL, and into the NHL. That's when I know we've made it, because then you've got that whole feeder system to a T, where teams have able to put all kinds of pieces there and build farm systems. Just a thought. Anyways, just a reminder to everybody, we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Thread, we are on YouTube. Please give us a look at all of those venues, as well as on streampunkentertainment.com for all articles and all recaps. As well, please tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell everybody. Come back a few times a day, because the news is always changing, and as quickly as we can get it, as quickly we can get it out to you. And we are your Costco of lacrosse. We are your one-stop shop. And we always have our fingers on the pulse of the situation, as I say every week. We're into last words. Shawn, last words to you.
Just kind of looking forward to the next couple of weeks here again. Just about the halfway point, at least for games played for some teams. And it's going to be crunch time, and there's not much separating top from bottom.
Very true. Mike, last words to you.
Just a short week, but like Shawn said, every game matters here. So every game counts.
Absolutely. I want to remind everybody we are on at 11 o'clock next week, a.m. Eastern, because of the Super Bowl. That game of meaning something, I don't know. I think the Eagles are in there or something. I'm not sure. But against Taylor Swift. That's where they're going.
Yeah.
Bunch of zebras.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
The uniform for Kansas City is white and black.
White and black, yeah.
But 11 o'clock next week, and we will go through the week that was. It is a short week, so it could be a shorter, abridged show. But it'll be worth your time, because everything up to date will be discussed and taken care of. Alrighty. For Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, for Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, wishing you the best of weeks. It's been such a great weekend, man. I just love this stuff when we have a lot of games. Anyways, keep your spirits high and keep your sticks higher, or vice versa. Keep your sticks high and your spirits higher, whichever suits you. Until we meet again next week at 11 a.m. on Sunday, have a great week. We'll see you then.